Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Career Retrosepctives right here on the Super Review Show Network. I am joined by my two incredible, great, super cool, good friends, Kyle and Mike. What's going on, guys?
Hey, back on the computer.
Yes.
Yeah, K-Man is back for another review.
K-Man is back for another review on his computer, not his phone this time. So that's good. So for those of you who don't know and live under a rock, we spun the wheel last week and it's landed on Kyle's pick, which was as the title of this podcast suggests, talking about Talking Heads Remain in Light from 1980. This is just it's Kyle's pick. It's his. I'm gonna let him go first on this. But Kyle, you know, it was your pick. What do you got? What do you got for it, buddy?
I mean, it was my pick. It was on the Rolling Stones whatever list of top albums. Never listened to it before. Never listened to a whole one of their albums before. Liked a couple of songs, so here we are. I mean, that's pretty much it. Liked what I heard from the few singles I know, so figured why not.
Nice. And Mike's excited as always.
Oh, well, anytime I get to listen to any album that's kind of has a lot of buzz over it, for the time that it was released and what it meant to a music genre, um, I'm always excited for that. Also it's just you never know what you're gonna get off of these lists, so it can be not always a hey, it's a 10 out of 10 guaranteed. There's always some kind of possibility, so I'm always looking forward to that challenge of checking that out.
Nice. And for me going into this one, I just want to say, Talking Heads is a group that actually I know a lot about. I actually have this album on vinyl, an original
Hmm.
pressing of it. Because I went through like a mini new wave phase, if you will. So I was like, I gotta get the vinyl. So I started collecting like Burning Down the House. I got like Psycho Killer, the one with that on it, and a bunch of other new wave bands as well, like NXS, Billy Idol, stuff like that. I have them on vinyl. They're not on camera tonight, but I do have this record on vinyl. So that's how I listened to this vinyl actually. It's over the weekend and through today as well. Getting ready for our stream tonight. But yes, Talking Heads Remain in Light. It was for those of you who remember way back when we broke down and we looked at Rolling Stone magazine's list of the top, was it 500 greatest albums of all time, whatever it was. And this is one of the ones we picked. So we're going to talk about it tonight. Let's go over to the Wikipedia page for a second. This was their fourth studio record. It is new wave. It is post punk dance rock, art rock to an extent. We're going to get on into all that in a second. But yeah, are we ready to go to the track listing already?
Yeah, I think we're
Yep.
ready. I think
Cool. It was a
it's
quick
just like that.
introduction.
It'd be like that.
It'd be like that, Mike. It was a quick introduction there because I mean, this is like an album, and David Byrne is also. I would say David Byrne is like a really smart musician personally, but that's me. Like he's been on Broadway a couple of times too. But yeah, I'll read off the track listing really quick for those of you who are keeping track at home, and then we're gonna go through this track by track together. We're gonna song by song as a group, and we'll go from there. Right? But here we go. So Born Under Punches, the heat goes on. First track, Cross-Eyed and Painless, second track, and The Great Curve, the third track. That's the end of side one. Side two is as follows: Once in a Lifetime, Houses in Motion, Seen and Not Seen, Listening Wind, and The Overload. Kyle, since this was your, I guess, pick on the, do you want to start off on our rotation here?
Sure. So we're just starting right at right at Born Under Punches. The heat goes on. Um, Not what I expected going into this. Gonna be totally honest with you and gonna keep it completely honest. I hated this. This sucked for me. Um, right off the bat, you're going on to this track with yes, this is a post-punk art rock record for sure. New wave, yes, has all of that. This one had a lot of elements of that, including kind of like a prog instrumental, very much reminiscent of Primus. The vocals in the beginning here, the first couple of lines sounded just like Ed from Ed, Ed and Eddie, and right away threw me off. Um, what really bothered me though is that the instrumental on this stays nearly the same throughout the entirety of the track. Really bothered me, and it was an instrumental that didn't jive with me. If you like that kind of art rock stuff, I'm sure you'll find it super experimental and great. For me, doesn't work. Went on too long, came off just goofy and unstructured at parts. Uh, I did like the part that had like this video game-ish arcade sounds thrown in there. I thought that was cool. But the song just really went way too long during that outro. Honestly, 2 out of 10 for me on this one. Really painful for me to get through.
I'll go next, actually. So for me, as an opening track, when we get down to it, we'll get to it in a little bit. But I'm surprised that the hit single off the record opened up side 2, but I'll get to that when we get down there. But Born Under Punches, he goes on. Man, I was listening to it like for a couple times over again just today, just to prepare for tonight as well when we do our stream. Yeah, this is a lot of like it's definitely art rock. It's definitely new wave. It's concept. I mean, it's as someone who's more in that vein of music more than I guess most people might be like the Talking Heads, the the Psychedelic Furs, the Simple Minds, the Tears for Fears, like that kind of new wave vibe. I mean, I get that it doesn't work for everyone. Me personally, this one worked, but not as well as I thought it was going to. I mean, I had never heard this track until I turned on my turntable tonight, this weekend, and just started playing the whole record from start to finish to prepare for a stream. So for me, this is like a solid, like I want to say 4 or 5, pushing 5 out of 10. It's like it's kind of in the middle for me. I mean, but I do agree though. It does feel long. It is very extensive. So I'm sitting at about a 4.5 out of 10 for that one for me as the Born Under Punches for the Heat Goes On. Mike, is there any redeeming quality for this first track?
I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I've never really listened to the group extensively enough, and coming into this, I was just it definitely dances on one of the most unfortunate factors that I personally am not a huge fan of, and that's looping layers of music that are kind of all cut up and don't feel like they ever arrive at their idea. They kind of seem like they just keep redoing the same thing again, and so it's not pleasant to the ear of someone who likes resolution, and they like direction. It's definitely conjuring a dance feel, a percussion feel, like a tribal at times feel. It's definitely not my cup of tea. The singing is eerie, feels out of place. Yeah, this was a strange start. So a 3 out of 10 for me. Just yeah, not what I was expecting.
Gotcha. All right. Down to track number 2, Cross-Eyed and Painless. Was this one as painless as some might say, Kyle, or what? Cross-Eyed and Painless for you at all or no?
Painless? No. Not as painful? Yes. I will say, just get this out of the way. Born Under Punches, the worst song on the album. That was the lowest I'll give anything moving forward. Not to say that I enjoyed this song. This was a 4 for me. It's instantly better than the last one. I'll give it that, especially from an instrumental standpoint. Really, though, it was just kind of boring. Didn't really go anywhere for me. And it just kind of rides on that interesting instrumental for too long, which is something I've noticed with a lot of the tracks here is they kind of harp on this one thing the whole time almost. And yeah, occasionally they'll throw in something here, they'll throw in something there. But especially on a like percussion level, it remains the same a lot throughout. So this is a 4 out of 10 for me. I didn't enjoy it that much. But was it better than the first song? Absolutely.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, Cross-Eyed and Painless, more like Cross-Eyed and it was all right. I'm being honest. Wait, it was no straight 10 out of 10. That's like, that's the creme de la creme up there for us here. This is, it's, I'm actually sitting at like probably like again a 4.5 or a 5 out of 10 for this. One thing I love about the one thing I do love about Talking Heads is they're able to take a sound or a type of rhythmic pattern or a type of keyboard synth or whatever. They were really good at just making a lot of repetition and a lot of their biggest hit singles, like on this record, we'll get to in a second, but Once in a Lifetime is one of them, Psycho Killer is one of them, Wild Wild Life is another one. Those are really good songs that have had a lot of mainstream success, but however, their deeper cuts are much more like, I guess one might say, harder to break into than most others. So you're gonna hear that a lot from me at least. But yeah, this one is probably like a 4.5. Nothing, just slightly higher than Kyle. Nothing too crazy. Kind of in the same vein as the first one. Like still pretty boring. Didn't really grab my attention as much. Sitting at a 4.5 for Cross-Eyed and Painful. I guess I don't know. Mike, is there any redeeming quality here?
It kind of this might be the shortest review that I do, to be honest with you. Just a lot of the same, repetitive guitar and bass lines. Definitely more interesting than the first song. I like the funky kind of feel in this point, but there's just no change of that direction. It just kind of returns again and returns again. Kind of feels a little like Bowie here, to some degree, but like not Bowie that leaves you feeling like satisfied with like a kind of amalgamation of different styles blended into one. It just, it just kind of does its thing over and over again. Yeah, 4 out of 10, better than the first one, but only by such a small margin. So yeah, it's just the loops. I'm just not a loopy kind of guy. Loop music.
I think you're
Like
pretty loopy, Mike.
I'm a loopy. I'm feeling loopy after this album because I was just like, at times I just don't know where the songs are going and starting, stopping, and just yeah, it's just sometimes it's just tough to get a idea of what was being portrayed here. So yeah.
Yeah. Number track number 3, The Great Curve. Kyle, and with this song have any curvature to it? What's going on here?
Well, we're still in an upward curve. 6 out of 10 for me right off the bat. This is an album that Mike, I'm actually glad here because I didn't know how you were going to take this one. I was like, Mike's either going to love this for being experimental or just not enjoy it. And so far, from what I'm seeing, I was in the right boat that you probably wouldn't like it too much, but we'll see. But this song, I didn't like the slow and droning main vocal, but the rest of it, I actually enjoyed quite a bit. I love the incorporation of the hard rock guitar solo in there, especially over like the bongos and the clean guitar strums, and they're right after it in the middle. There's like that horn section. Thought that was well done. It actually had some cool change ups. The end half of the song actually has some like vocal layering on there that Mike, I know you were saying you don't like that, but I thought it was actually something that made the song stand out where it actually worked together. Unlike the previous songs that you mentioned, just kind of felt all over the place in terms of that. I thought it actually worked well together. Actually had me actively listening and picking things apart rather than sitting there just going like, oh my God, what's going on? This one, it's not perfect. I don't care for like I said, that slow and droning main vocal. I mean, it goes up to a 6. Best one so far. But even then, not something I would actively go and seek out. And for me, something to be said about this whole album is I say I got Fantano as my background here. As I was listening to this, it was around this part of the album that I went, I bet he loved this album. Now, I didn't watch his review, so who knows? But to me, this album just reeks of pretentious experimental music fan that's going to be like, oh, they experimented in the 80s, so this is super good and cool. And yes, for the time, I would probably agree. This is, for the most part, ahead of its time with what they were doing. But going back now, this song just hits at a 6. Maybe if I heard this back then, I would have been like, oh, that's some really cool stuff they're doing. But now it feels dated. It feels just something off about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a similar boat, but I'm not as optimistic as you. For me, it's a solid 5 out of 10 for me. Nothing too, I was about to say 5 out of 5. Forgive me. 5 out of 10 for me. It is nothing super. It's again kind of mid, very very mid for me. I do like I did like where it went towards like the end there, but again, to some extent, I do feel the length of it. It is 6 minutes and 28 seconds long, and I'm like, again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. I don't hate long songs. I actually really like long songs quite a bit. Some of my favorite songs of all time are long songs. They're 7+ minute songs, whatever. But this one, you could definitely feel the length a little bit. It does feel a little bit dated, as Zakah said as well. And it's not as it's very mid for me. That's why it's a 5 out of 5. And I really don't want to say too much more on it, truthfully, but 5 out of 5, 5 out of 10. Excuse me, saying the wrong thing already. 5 out of 10 for me, not a 5 out of 5. 5 out of 10 for me for the Great Curve. That's just where I'm sitting at that great curvature, as it says. Mike, Talking Heads fanatic over here. Great Curve. Track 3.
Man, I like that Elmo you just did. Elmo is my acronym for enough. Let's move on. That's when I use I got this idea from my cousin. Shout out to Matt. He tell the keyword is Elmo when we beat a dead horse on saying the same thing about something. So Elmo here. I'm just it's the same thing. It's repetitive. It's similar vocally to the previous song. Yeah, it has that jungle percussion feel. Just yeah, 4 out of 10. Just similar. Just didn't not my cup of tea. And that's pretty much all I can say about it. It's gonna be a short review for me. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Quick night with Mike.
Yeah.
Literally. But yeah, Kyle, and now we go to side two. For me, at least it was side two because I flipped over the record and I put on Once in a Lifetime. Mike, Kyle, what do you got?
Hey, so oh, not me. Okay,
sorry, Kyle. What do you
Mike,
got
do
for one?
you want to take it away, Mike, or do you want to keep the order?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? Okay,
go for it.
It's a catchy chorus, and okay, from coming from a guy who does spoken word poetry and spoken word kind of stuff, it's just not enjoyable spoken word stuff that I really wanted to hear. I've never enjoyed this song. This is actually a song that I've hot take. I just uh always heard this and it just repeated and repeated and repeated. And these kinds of albums are extra tough for me to review because my brain just shuts down when something repeats again and again and again, and I can't stand it. And it's probably one of my biggest faults when it comes to like being able to eat or digest any kind of musical kind of meal being thrown at me. And it's just like I need variety, I need progression, I need all that kind of stuff. So it's recognizable. It's got some interesting things going on. It's 6 out of 10. It's the best song on the album. And it's about as high as I could give it. I originally had this marked at a 5 because it was straight down the middle. But then, sometimes I could find myself like, singing along to it. And, it just has a strange quality to it. But other than that, it's not much I could redeem.
I guess I'll go second. This is a great song. This is the one song that I knew off the record going into the record. I was surprised it wasn't the first track. Because when you back in the day when you had vinyl records, well, I shouldn't say back in the day because they're like back now. But vinyl, you'd flip it over and like side 2 would hit, and then boom, you get a really good track or like a big hit single or whatever. And this was that case for me. I mean, this is solid 8.5 out of 10 for me. I love this track. I hear it all the time on classic rock stations and whatnot, like FM wise, and sometimes Sirius XM as well. Plug, please hire me. But like. But yeah, this is a really I enjoy this track a lot more than I thought I did, and hearing it as a part of a bigger project or sound for Talking Heads, at least I really liked it a lot. So 8.5 out of 10 for me for Once in a Lifetime. I wonder if Anthony Fantano over here has actually enjoyed the song or not.
I mean, complete agreement with Mike on this is the best song on the album, hands down. The only song I knew from the record going into it. I've always actually really liked this song. So I'm more positive on it than Mike is. I actually enjoyed the spoken word on this one coming from someone that usually doesn't enjoy spoken word. So for me, it's best lyrics of the album, hands down. And it's not even close here. Even though it does get repetitive, and that's what prevents this from really being a 10 out of 10, something that the album as a whole suffers from. This ends up being an 8 for me. It's really the only song on the entire record that has a really distinguishable chorus, distinguishable in terms of being catchy and memorable, really at all. And really, this is something that about all the Talking Head songs I actually like is that it's more straightforward. It's really not trying too hard. When I was listening to the rest of the record, all I could think was like, I could think of them just sitting in the studio and just trying really hard to be experimental. And that's how it came off. This one didn't come off that way. It was just a nice song. There's nothing above and beyond about it. 8 out of 10. I like the atmospheric synth behind it. Always really liked it. I think it's excellent in terms of storytelling. But yeah, 8 out of 10 is the highest I can go on it.
Nice. And that being said, let's go back over to Kyle for a sec to start us off again. with Houses in Motion, the second song on side 2. What do you got?
More like the motion of the album just stopped. It was there for one song. Uh, we're back down to a 5, and it's very funk forward, which is a nice change. Really like the call and response vocal sections, but other than that, there's really nothing else to this song that intrigues me or brings me back to it. The saxophone solo is interesting and strange. Does it fit? Not really. It's just kind of there. Uh, Not my thing. 5 out of 10. If it was on, I wouldn't be like offended by it. I wouldn't be like, go turn that off now. But I don't think I'd ever go and listen to this.
Yeah, I'm gonna. This is where like the peak hit with Once in a Lifetime, and then the rest of the album kind of like dies a slow whimpering death from here. For me at least. I'm not trying to be harsh, but I'm just saying. Houses in Motion, it's more like for me it's a 4. It's not, again, it's not bad, it's not great, it's not Once in a Lifetime though. It doesn't have the same type of vibe and ring as the track prior to it as well. I do like as Kyle mentioned, I did like the funk aspect to them, and I'm all for horns. I mean, I'm a huge Chicago fan. Certain aspects of that I do like as well. I love a good brass section in a song, whatever. But yeah, this one it felt like when it first came on, I was listening to it, I was like, oh, it's got a horn in it. And that's more and more. It didn't like resonate more with me as time went on. So that's all I have to say really about Houses in Motion. But I know
You
Mike
almost said
loved.
House is on fire.
Yes, I almost did, and I'll get to what I'll tell you guys why afterwards. I'll tell you why afterwards. It's House on Fire, but Mike loved this track, Houses in Motion, though.
Is that a reflashback, man, to asking Alexandria, or is I don't know if that was.
I'll tell you off camera.
All right, yeah, we don't want to discuss that. House of Emotion. What can I say about it? It just started off very just barely happening, and then it's just a mess, man. It's a 3 out of 10 for me. I really I just at this point I even wrote in my notes, I can tell I just don't like the writing process of this album, but especially at this point, like where there's just everything seems like cut up, chopped up on the cutting room floor of just bits and pieces of songs edited together, and very spontaneous things happen, but never do they ever hold hands and lead you to another point. It just left me scratching my head going, man, am I not a musical genius to be able to truly decipher such musical code? Like, it's tough for me to rate a classic so hard. It makes me feel like not as legitimate. But hey, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being a fan of something like people really liked, and
I mean,
yeah.
Mike, I,
So
I
for me,
completely agree with you. I,
yeah.
as I was listening to this, I just kept finding myself thinking like, I should like this. Like this is an album that people like hold in like such high regard as like one of the best albums ever. And not just Rolling Stone. I've heard it from other people. I've seen it on other lists. And to me, it's just like I was listening to it. I was like, what am I missing? It never clicked. It just didn't work for me. And I guess that brings us to the next song, Seen and Not Seen. It is just a 4, just decent background music. And that's really all I have to say about this one. Like I don't have any other notes on this one other than it was on in the background, and I was like, all right, it's just so lame. Like I just didn't find anything interesting about this one. That's literally the only notes I could muster up was decent background music.
Well, in the wise words of our other podcast we do here at the Super Review Show, we swiped right there, Kyle. This is purely just infant background music. Like this is just like this is a solid 2.5. I'm talking right here. I'm being harsh tonight. This is I listened to it after Once in a Lifetime, after House in Motion. Like, all right, you think it could get better? No, it doesn't. It just doesn't get better. You would think it would, but it doesn't. Unfortunately, this is seen or not and not seen. This is more like just get rid of it completely and forget about this track it ever existed. And this is solid 2.5. I'm sorry. I literally couldn't. As I'm listening to it over and over again, I'm like, it's more and more and more forgettable. I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy, and I like Talking Heads too. So, anyways, Mike, is there any redeeming factor for seen and not seen?
Be honest with you, that I looked on the way down and I was like, 8 tracks, yeah, but for the wrong reason. Like I wasn't saying 8 tracks, like, yeah, we've made our point and enough is enough. No, I wanted enough is enough because like I at this point the maddening repetition just it reminded me of people on like some drug in the 80s, like on a dance floor, and they're like, hey, did the song end yet? No, did it? Oh, the song starts out like Mariah Carey 90s pop beat, like just a strange beat, and almost it reminded me of Mariah Carey. It just evolved into just that repetitive looping. It actually the repetitive loops actually were used to a strength here, but to a strength that I truly could not call upon. It's just not my cup of tea. Just 3 out of 10, just unheard and not heard.
And track number 4 on side 2, Listening Wind. Kyle, were you listening to the wind during this one at all, or no? Or are you blowing in the wind?
I wish I was listening to wind. I wish. 2. I lied. This is actually right about on par with Born Under Punches, but for a different reason. At least that one was somewhat exciting to maybe use some kind of word. This is just a spacey song. It's boring again. I hated the chorus on this one. Absolutely not my style. Again, a lot of the same thing throughout the whole song. Way too long. When you have a 4-minute song, this goes for most of the songs in the album too. When you have a song that's like 4.5+ minutes, that feels like you're listening to the same thing for like 10, it's brutal. And Mike, I agree with you when you said that you saw only 8 tracks. Like, thank God it's almost over. That's exactly what I thought on first listen. I was like, how much longer? I was like, oh, only I think it was at either Houses in Motion or Seen Not Seen. I pulled it up and I was like, oh, thank God, I'm almost done.
Yo, Kyle, what would you have done if this was 15, 16
I
tracks?
might have
Like,
given up.
the,
I think I
I'm
would
yeah,
gonna
have
give it up.
listened through and been like, I can't do it.
Oh my god.
yeah,
I don't even know if I would
Uh,
have
double
finished it
album.
because by the end here, I was so hit by album fatigue for a relatively short album. You should never have album fatigue on an 8 track album. But I was there halfway through this. So this is a 2 for me. Spacey, boring. I just not entertaining.
this is wretched. Listening the wind, more like listening about a fart in the wind. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Rip to my sanity here. No, this is a by the time unless the last 3 tracks on the record are 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and 6 minutes, you think it would get better. No, it gets worse. Listening wind, more like listening straight up. I kid you not. It was wretched. I could not. This is a 1. I'm sorry. I literally could not go any higher than like maybe a 1, maybe pushing 1.5 here. This is just boring. Like it's just repetitive and the same. And Mike, God help us all.
Yeah, I'm right with you, man. It's just it is one just big cloud of just nothing. It really just the repetitive nature again. Like I said, Elmo. I'm just gonna go with
No.
2 out of 10. It's just why I don't understand.
Oh my god.
At no point does this ever command me into being a fan of this band. And I'm just almost curious to just go and listen to some more and see if it's the same thing or if it's just was just a weird bump in the road. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, let's depressingly go down to the last track here with the overload. Kyle, is there any redeeming hope here for Anthony Fantano?
Uh, Depends. You give a 3 out of 10. Do you consider that a hope? Because that's where we're at on this one. I will say it's a bit of a step up from the previous song, only because it does offer something different than the rest of the album, but it offers it for 6.5 minutes of just
Yes.
non exciting. almost doom metal at times influenced here, atmospheric to a horrendous extent. You know me, I don't like atmospheric music. It's not my thing. Uh, could tell there's some Sabbath influence on here, but for a record like this, that doesn't really work. It was just too long of the same thing. Really not for me. Um, Only thing that made it a three was the fact that it was slightly different than the others. But then halfway through the song, I was like, all right, get it over with. We're done. So yeah, no redeeming quality really.
I'm gonna keep this show short. You have no idea. This just sucked. This is a solid 1.5 out of 10. Rip to my sanity. God help us all. The overload more like the motherload of crap. Mike, what do you got?
Well, I'm with you, JT.
It's like I was
This
straight
is
to
a
the
one out
point.
of 10, man. This is a 1 out of 10. Boring as sin. Has that atmospheric, almost, and I say this as not a jab at the Doors because I like the Doors, and the Doors knew how to do things like this, where it was like a rising kind of building, conjuring kind of like uh dark sound. This is just a fail. I really it was painful to end on such a note that didn't have any kind of redeeming quality, and just it's unfortunate that this group has put out an album that personally I felt like never ever truly hit a home run, and just even that song, once in a lifetime. It's one of those songs that I would skip on the radio more times than actually listen to it. So yeah, it was a tough ending, and I'm thankful that it didn't go beyond 8 songs, or I would just be pain. It would be painful.
Or you'd give up, like Kyle said he would. Oh God. Well, needless to say, we're gonna go to our final ratings here for a second. So that being said, that's our track listing and ratings for each song. What's your overall rating for Talking Heads Remain in the Light? There, Anthony. I mean Kyle Fantano Corporation, whatever your name is.
Yeah, I mean, this is like I said, this is an album that if you're a pretentious experimental music fan that thinks that anything with weird time signatures or that does uses different instruments throughout and layers things, if you think that's automatically great, yeah, you'll probably put this in your top albums of all time. If you're looking for accessible music to actually listen to and enjoy, this is not it. This is not it. Um, it's again, like I said, maybe for the time in 1980, I could see this being interesting and ahead of its time, but for now, it doesn't work. As someone that was actually really looking forward to this, because I enjoyed all the singles from the Talking Heads that I knew, this was a huge disappointment. The only thing I could find on this one that was really a standout was the percussion throughout. I thought that actually stood out a decent amount. I did enjoy, the drums. They had bongos in there. Thought that was well done, but there wasn't enough patterns. Like they would find like one percussion pattern, and that would be the whole song. So I mean, for me, it's a 4 out of 10. Big disappointment. Wish it was higher, and that's just where I'm at. I kind of disagree with the Rolling Stone list on this one pretty highly.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, I'm gonna let Mike go in a second because I know Mike is gonna love this record towards the end of his rating. No, for me, it's like, listen, it's a solid. Listen, outside of one, if you take Once in a Lifetime out of it, I don't think this record would have sold as many copies as it did. Truthfully, going through it, listening to it over and over again on vinyl, as I mentioned, because I have it. And I was like, this is not bad, and then it progressively got worse and worse as time went on. And I'm sitting at like I saw like 4.75 pushing a 5. 5 on a good day, 4.75, 4.5 on like a God, like on an average day, truthfully. Like if I'm feeling generous, I'll give it a 5, but other than that, I'm gonna give it a 4.75 out of 10. It's very, very middle of the road for me. I mean, as someone who's even a fan of that style of rock, of like new wave and stuff like that, this is a lot of I was, again, to quote Kyle and to probably quote Mike too, I was really looking forward to this as well. I mean, I actually really like Talking Heads quite a bit. I think, their hit singles are great, Psycho Killer and Life During Wartime and whatnot. Those are all really solid songs. But as a record though, man, this is a chore and a brutal one to get through for me. So I'm saying at a 4.75 currently for my rating here for Talking Heads Remain Light. Mike, you love this record. You probably hold it like you remember like in Chandler did and Friends.
Oh yeah.
You're holding it right here, right? You know.
R.I.P. Chandler.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Yeah,
R.I.P.
yeah.
to Chandler. Sorry.
Yeah, way to bring up a sore subject, JT. Wow, too soon.
Yeah,
Sorry.
too soon. Too soon.
Now that you can't even utter his name without offending me, so too soon, too soon.
My bad.
But you know, it's it's sad that an album that does have a lot of influential sounds and techniques didn't know how to land that plane. It just felt like their genius kind of outpowered their ability to tie it all in and make it accessible to an audience of all kind of objectives when it comes to music and listening to it and enjoying it. It feels very kind of like ahead of its time in that it could have this is one of those albums I would like to see someone remix again. We're coming back to the same kind of topic as we had before. Like our previous selection could have honestly really been taken and done something with. Like someone could cut it up and and kind of learn from the interesting way they layered the sounds and did all the things. It's just uh learn how to land that plane and really arrive at like the objective of creating a song that has different movements, different directions, and different ideas, but without like suffocating them. So unfortunately, I had to break out the old "I hate it" shirt for this one.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
this is a 2.5 out of 10. It's tough to say that, but it was just and coming from someone who's just extra uh irked and sensitive to like repetition. I've never been a industrial guy. I've never been the like a new wave in the repetition side of things, dance side of things type of fan. So for me, it's extra tough on my kind of my nerve. Whereas like another album that is like people would say, "Oh, this album sucks," doesn't trample on that. I may have more of a guilty pleasure response to liking it more than a classic to some others in their eyes because it just doesn't do the same kind of repetition that another album does. So I'm saying that because of that, I'm harsher than the average listener is because of that just that stance. So yeah, 2.5 out of 10. It just couldn't. I had it at a 3. I knocked down a half a point as a theme. It just suffered from the theme of the same thing. And that's just where I had to place it.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. We did not, as great as this album seemed like on the cover of it, on the cover of things, we really did not know what to expect by listening to this. But going to Rolling Stone magazine and whatnot, their list of the top 500 greatest albums of all time list, and doing this review, it's ultimately it didn't deliver what we thought it was going to. But that's okay. It's what makes everything the world go round. You know, it's all subjective and whatnot. Ultimately, we did not like it here, but ultimately, it's what you guys have to say with it. Just sound off in the comment section below. Sound off on our social media page as well if you like what you've seen here, and don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to our channel as well. I want to thank Kyle and Mike for doing this always with me. But thank you, gentlemen, of course. And
thank
Kyle,
you, JT. Thank you.
yes, of course. And this episode 73, believe it or not, we're on 73 episodes so far. On track to 100, baby. Kyle, are you ready to spin the wheel?
Yep.
All right, spinning the wheel now. This is Kyle is spinning the wheel for those who are listening to us. Just sit back, relax. Yeah, there's only three.
Come on, one of mine. Come on,
Mike, you're already out of here.
Get out of mine.
Now, I only have one and JT has two.
That's true. There's
the underdog now.
Come on, Katy Perry. Come on, Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Teenage Dream, baby. It's gonna be Teenage Dream.
It's not even my pick, but I'll go for it. Oh
my God,
Mike!
Katy Perry's Teenage Dream is next week, baby.
If y'all are listening, can you call for help? I'm located at 38 Sycamore Street, in
Bedford Falls, New York, or whatever.
Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
In
Lynbrook, whatever you are. I don't even know.
Well, I'll tell you what I won't have a problem with is repetitive loops that are chopped up into pieces and literally just I feel like it's gonna be the complete opposite. It's gonna be super predictable like stuff that
No,
I'm like, oh.
no
No,
way.
So
no.
that's just
Kyle
my
knows his
early
record
on
too. So.
prediction. That's my early on prediction. But I'm just saying it's the complete opposite of what we just listened to musically. Like it's
Oh,
not
100%.
experimental in
Oh,
any
yeah, for sure.
capacity.
Yeah. I will go so the for those you don't know the album we just picked out was Katy Perry's Teenage Dream from 2009. I want to say 2010. I forget what year. One of the 2 years there. In my opinion, the best pop album from that time period. That's me personally, but we'll have to discuss that next week, of course. But tune in next week as we discuss Katy Perry's Teenage Dream. Yes, it's happening. You heard that correctly. Katy Perry's Teenage Dream next Monday night here on the Super Review Show. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and follow us on our social media accounts, and don't forget to subscribe. We're currently at 1,199 subscribers. So if you're out there being number 1,200, good for you. But thanks so much for watching. You get a free T-shirt signed by me as well. You know, I will literally find you and I'll send you a shirt. Free shirt. There you go.
Can I unsubscribe and then subscribe when?
No, I'm just kidding. Whatever.
Let's create some fake accounts, guys.
Do this like 5 Google accounts and go, man. Anyways.
Oh, wait. You may have just hit 1,200.
Oh, snap. Did he actually?
Hold on. Refresh.
My God. You did not. You did not.
I
you
didn't.
Literally did not. And we're doing this live.
I didn't.
Who did? Oh, no. All right.
Yeah.
K-Man gets
milestone.
a free T-shirt. This is you heard it here first.
It's all Christina. It was all her.
Thank you to Mrs. Quersha herself. I appreciate your efforts. Yes.
1,200
now,
live on air.
Well, while we're live on air, we actually reached 1,200 subscribers to the Super Review Show. Mrs. Quersha is going to get a T-shirt in the mail, or whenever next time I see Kyle, that is signed by yours truly as well. That is the case. I know she heard that too, so don't worry. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for watching, listening, however you enjoyed us tonight. Sign off. If you love Talking Heads, great. If you don't, I don't blame you. For all of us here at the Super Review Show, Katy Perry's Teenage Dream is up next. Stay safe. Take care and